Good day, everyone. For today, we will have a short discussion on position paper. A position paper is a form of academic writing which is written to address an issue and defend a particular stand on it. The features of a position paper are the following. So we have the introduction, the body that has your main points and possible counter arguments, and the conclusion. Usually, an author who writes a position paper is making an argument which has to be built upon evidence. The structure used to do this is very similar to that used when writing a critical essay. So, what is an argument? In academic writing, an argument is usually a main idea, often called a claim or thesis statement, backed up with evidence that supports the idea. The purpose of a position paper is to generate support on an issue. It describes the author's position on an issue and the rationale for that position. And in the same way that a research paper incorporates supportive evidence, is based on facts that provide a solid foundation for the author's argument. It is a critical examination of a position using facts and inductive reasoning, which addresses both strengths and weaknesses of the author's opinion. Again, the classic position paper contains three main elements. These are the introduction, which identifies the issue that will be discussed and states the author's position on that issue. Then the body of the paper, which contains the central argument and can be further broken up into three unique sections. These are background information, evidence supporting the author's position, and a discussion of both sides of the issue, which addresses and refutes arguments that contradict the author's position. And lastly, the conclusion, restating the key points and, where applicable, suggesting resolution to the issue. In making a position paper or in making a stand on a certain issue, we can use the Toulmin method. This was developed by philosopher Stephen E. Toulmin. This is a style of argumentation that breaks down arguments down into six component parts. These are the claim, grounds, warrant, backing, qualifiers, and rebuttal. In Toulmin's method, every argument begins with three fundamental parts. Again, these are the claim, grounds, and warrant. A claim is a statement that you are asking the other person to accept. This includes information you are asking them to accept as true or actions you want them to accept and enact. Many people start with a claim, but then find that it is challenged. If you just ask me to do something, for example, I will not simply agree with what you want. I will ask why I should agree with you. I will ask you to prove your claim. This is where grounds become important. The grounds or data is the basis of real persuasion and is made up of data and hard facts, plus the reasoning behind the claim. It is the truth on which the claim is based. Grounds may also be included, for example, proof of expertise and the basic premises on which the rest of the argument is built. The actual truth of the data may be less than 100%, as all data are based on perception, and hence there is some element of assumption about it. It is critical to the argument that the grounds are not challenged because, if they are, they may become a claim, which you will need to prove with even deeper information and further argument. Information is usually a very powerful element of persuasion, although it does affect people differently. Those who are dogmatic, logical, or rational will more likely to be persuaded by factual data. Those who argue emotionally and who are highly invested in their own position will challenge it or otherwise try to ignore it. It is often a useful test to give something factual to the other person that disproves their argument and watch how they handle it. Some will accept it without question, some will dismiss it out of hand, others will dig deeper, requiring more explanation. This is where the warrant comes into its own. Another part is the warrant. This links data and other grounds to a claim, legitimizing the claim by showing the grounds to be relevant. The warrant may be explicit or unspoken and implicit. It answers the question, why does that data mean your claim is true? Warrants may be based on logos, ethos, or pathos, or values that are assumed to be shared with the listener. In many arguments, warrants are often implicit and hence unstated. This gives space for the other person to question and expose the warrant, perhaps to show it is weak or unfounded. The model also has backing. This part, or also called as support for an argument, gives additional support to the warrant by answering different questions. This time for the qualifier part, this indicates the strength of the leap from the data to the warrant and may limit how universally the claim applies. Take note of this, for they include words such as most, usually, always, or sometimes. Arguments may thus range from strong assertions to generally quite floppy or largely and often rather uncertain kinds of statement. On rebuttal, despite the careful construction of the argument, there may still be counter-arguments that can be used. This may be rebutted either through a continued dialogue or by preempting the counter-argument by giving the rebuttal during the initial presentation of the argument. We should also remember that any rebuttal is an argument in itself and thus may include a claim, warrant, backing, and so on. It also, of course, can have a rebuttal. Thus, if you are presenting an argument, you can seek to understand both possible rebuttals and also rebuttals to the rebuttals. We have here an example. Please take time to read. We can clearly see here the connection between each part from the other part. Under warrant, I mentioned these three terms, the ethos, pathos, and logos. These are the three ways to persuade, or these are the modes of persuasion. So when we speak of ethos, this uses trust and focuses first on the speaker. And this is dependent upon the speaker's reputation and credibility. The reputation of a person depends on their past and what is known and spoken about them. Note that although there is usually a close relationship between reputation and reality, this is not always so. Politicians, for example, they guard their reputation carefully, yet many still have skeletons in the closet. Leveraging reputation often means reminding others of your illustrious past, perhaps through stories of your successes, of how you have helped others and been able to see the truth where others have not. On credibility, This depends both on expertise and how this is portrayed. If you want people to believe you, you must first show that you believe yourself. To use credibility, position yourself as an expert. Talk as if you cannot be challenged. Show how others look up to you. Use powerful gesture, eye contact, and so on to position yourself as a leader. On the other hand, pathos appeals to the emotions of the listener, seeking to excite them or otherwise arouse their interest. An effective way of arousing passions is an appeal to values. You can also work with their goals and interests or even challenge their beliefs. Language has a significant effect on emotion, and keywords such as fire, child, anger, smooth can trigger senses and feelings. On logos, this focuses first on the argument using cool logic and rational explanation, as well as demonstrable evidence. On evidence, science and scientific proof are based on the use of empirical evidence. If you argue without evidence, a scientist would dismiss your argument as metaphysical, literally outside the physical world. Evidence cannot be refuted, as courts of law seek to demonstrate. If you argue without evidence, that will be a difficult argument. If you show, then it is very difficult to deny without calling into question the validity of the evidence produced. Evidence can include statistics, pictures, and recounted experience, especially first-hand experience. On reason, this uses rational points that call on accepted truths and proven theories. Where evidence does not exist, reason may still prevail. A common tool in reasoning is to link two items together, for example, by cause and effect. Reasoning often uses syllogisms that include a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion based on the combination of the two premises. So I will give you a few minutes to try this one. So the claim is schools should ban soda from their campuses. So provide the following: the grounds, the warrant, the backing, the qualifiers, and the rebuttal. That would be all for today. If you have questions, feel free to type your questions in the comment section. Thank you.